This episode of the Dungeoncast has been brought to you by Hero Forge. Hero Forge has fully customizable tabletop miniatures with dozens of fantasy races and thousands of parts to choose from. Their easy-to-use design tool lets you build the perfect miniature online using a fully 3D in-depth character creator right in your web browser. There are plastic and metal options for your custom mini. And Hero Forge even offers downloadable model files for users to 3D print their unique designs at home. Plus, they're constantly expanding the catalog of customization options. They're adding new parts every week and major features like races and custom posing on a regular basis. All you have to do is go to heroforge.com and you can start designing your custom mini today. It's super easy. And don't forget to check back and visit them every now and again because they're always adding new content. One more time, that's heroforge.com.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Dungeoncast. I'm Will.
I'm Brian.
This is the podcast where we talk about everything Dungeons and Dragons, from dead dragons to demonic danger. And today, we're covering Dracoliches. Hey, Brian.
Man, you said the word dragon a lot more than I thought you were going to.
I did.
We did write that down, though.
It is Year of the Dragon, you know.
Hell yeah, it is. Welcome, everyone, to the year. We know it's like the year of the, what is it, the boar or whatever?
I don't know.
This has nothing to do with that.
No, it doesn't.
Dungeoncast-centric. Mm-hmm. This is about fantasy.
And as Year of the Dragon, I decided to end this year's Spooktober
Spooktacular
Fest
where you
with the Dracolich.
Sorry, what?
What? I decided to end this year's Spooktober Spookfest with the Dracolich.
Oh, I made a weed joke.
Oh, yeah, I didn't hear it. I'm sorry.
Oh, it's okay.
Okay, so in D&D, let's talk about Dracoliches. In D&D, a Dracolich, also known as a night dragon, is simply put a dragon that is turned to lichdom in pursuit of immortality. In the Lich episode, we talked about how a Lich is essentially a powerful spellcaster who, through powerful and dark necromantic ritual, transform themselves into undead versions of themselves. Mm-hmm. They store their soul in a precious item called their phylactery, and so long as their phylactery remains intact, the Lich can never truly die.
Cool.
A Dracolich is basically a dragon version of that with some differences that make the two unique from each other.
Right. One is a dragon, the other one's a dude.
Well, yeah, that's one of the things, but also there are some other things.
Now, this kind of strikes me as very undragon-like. After all the lore we've been through?
It is, and we will talk about that.
Okay, cool.
Pretty extensively. So the Dracolich it's a D&D original. It was actually created by Ed Greenwood, who is the author behind Elminster and the Forgotten Realms in general. He created the Forgotten Realms.
Hi, Ed, if you're listening.
Indeed.
Mr. Greenwood.
Indeed. So a Dracolich's appearance is dependent on how long it has been since the dragon was turned undead. So initially, it will retain its mortal appearance, but as time passes, its dead body will begin to decompose. Its skin and scales will draw tight across its bones, and its flesh will begin to slough away from its skeleton.
Ooh.
Eventually, all but the Dracolich's bones will disappear, leaving only a draconic skeleton with shining points of light floating in shadowy sockets of its skull.
Okay, real quick, offshoot. I know when you kill a dragon, it's like a pain in the ass to loot it because of all like the toughness of a dragon. There are like certain, like especially with Critical Role, they do a lot with looting the dragon and like carrying capacities and how to remove certain parts and what not to damage and this and that. Are dragon bones like does that fall on, are these like super special bones because they're dragon bones?
They can be.
Just like it's not really stated. Do you know if that's like a thing?
I mean, I think it's a very common thing that collecting for instance, dragon scale armor is made from actual dragon scales.
Exactly.
And it's very, very powerful armor.
Cool. Is there like a dragon bone thing?
Yeah, I'm sure you can have like a dragon bone, I don't know, sword. You know what I mean? Or something
made of the rib of a dragon.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. And since dragons are such potently, inherently magical creatures, like their body parts are probably magically
you could probably
infused.
Like make a big like some sort of weapon out of like the fang or the claw or something, and it'll be a magic weapon. That's dope.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry.
No, it's fine. So the origins of the Dracolich are actually very recent in Forgotten Realms, canonically speaking, having been only invented / discovered by the Mad Wizard Samaster roughly 400 years before the current Forgotten Realms events going on now.
Okay.
So only 400 years, which in the lifespan of dragons is incredibly short.
True. Okay.
The Mad Wizard, in his insanity, had at some point come to the conclusion, due to some ancient prophecies he had uncovered, that undead dragons must inherit the world. Again, he's insane.
Wow, somebody from thousands of years ago wrote about how undead dragons should be top top dog. Let's do it.
And I agree.
They're right.
So
I've been blind for so long.
Right. So he formed a cult named the Cult of the Dragon, which is dedicated to the reanimation of evil dragons into zombie dragons, skeletal dragons, and Dracoliches.
Okay, cool.
Through much experimentation and research, the cult raised the first Dracolich from the body of a mighty ancient red dragon, Shargrelar. That's how you say that word. And since then,
Are you sure?
I think so. And since then, have raised many more.
Okay.
Now, though, dragons who seek the immortality of lichdom are not required to seek out the Cult of the Dragon necessarily. The ritual can be found through other means.
Okay. Like they can just do it themselves?
Theoretical. Well, no. And that's a big part of what makes the Dracolich different. So
okay, sweet.
We're going to get into it. But so the creation ritual for the Dracolich is actually spelled out explicitly, unlike the one for the original Lich, which is quite frankly just the way things used to be is like they just hand waved it. And nowadays, like things tend to be spelled out. And since this is one of the newer things and the Lich is an older thing, it's just the way it is. But quite frankly, dragons get off easy compared to regular Liches.
Okay.
It was heavily implied that the Lich ritual required all kinds of terrible horrors and atrocities to be committed in order for it to possibly be successful. Definitely not necessarily going to be successful.
All right.
The Dracolich doesn't need any of that stuff. Doesn't need to really do anything.
It just has to be a dragon.
But it does require the cooperation of a group of powerful spellcasters. A dragon cannot attain lichdom alone. In order to initiate the transition from dragon to Dracolich, the dragon must drink a special concoction known as Dracolich Brew.
Okay, cool.
A mysterious potion that's ingredients are not entirely known, but it is known that it includes potion of evil dragon control, potion of invulnerability, and vampire's blood.
I mean, like somebody knows it.
Yeah, I'm just saying like it's not stated to
like we don't know it. You got to figure that out.
You can make it up.
You forgot the rosemary. So your Dracolich went rogue. And now he's eating the princess.
Right. So this concoction, once drunk, instantly slays the dragon, and the death is supposedly agonizingly painful.
Okay. The dragon drinks his thing and rolls over on its back. It's like, oh my
God, why have I chosen this? At this point, the group of spellcasters must complete a ritual to capture the dragon's soul before it passes to the outer planes. They then transfer the dragon's soul to a prepared phylactery. Now, a Dracolich's phylactery has a different set of specifications than that of a regular Lich. A regular Lich's phylactery can be whatever object the Lich chooses that is both inorganic and has a sealed interior space to store the Lich's soul.
Like a mason jar.
Like a mason jar, sure. A Dracolich's phylactery does not need an interior space, but it does need to be an object of great value, at least 200K worth of gold value.
At least 200K in gold.
If it doesn't less, unacceptable.
So if the economy like kind of tips while you're doing the ritual and you don't, so just make sure you get something, maybe actually make it a bar of gold because gold usually got on the up, right?
Yeah, gold always goes up. That's too funny.
Why did it go wrong? Guys, I'm looking at the stock market right now. It's not good. We done goofed, man. We shouldn't have put so much into Amazon.
That's amazing. I never thought of it like that.
Okay.
So the most common draconic Dracolich phylactery is a large gemstone.
Okay. Yeah, totally. Because those hold up.
Those hold up. It's true.
Guys, this emerald isn't real. Oh, shit.
Oh, we fucked up. Oh, shit.
Okay.
So once the dragon's soul is bound to its phylactery, it is able to then extend its soul out of its phylactery and repossess its now dead and rotting body.
Sweet.
While a Lich must feed at least one sentient soul per decade to its phylactery in order to power the magic that binds their soul to it, Dracoliches are not under the same obligation. Their phylacteries are self-sufficient. The trade-off is that unlike a regular Lich who, if their body is destroyed, it will reform within 24 hours, if a Dracolich's body is destroyed, it is permanently destroyed. Its soul then returns to its phylactery where it is capable of possessing any reptilian or draconic corpse within a limited range of its phylactery.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So a smart Dracolich probably has a corpse or two prepared near wherever its phylactery
Just on hand.
Because why wouldn't you? Like,
yeah.
Especially if you're powerful enough to, like, I don't know, take out a couple adult dragons. Let's say you're like an ancient Dracolich and you take out a couple adult dragons and you take their bodies, you store it near your phylactery and you enchant them to like not decay.
Okay.
And then like if someone takes you out, you're back in your phylactery, you jump into one of your other bodies and you're good to go.
That'd be funny if you have a white dragon body on hand, like extra. You have like a rotating secret wall. You like push a brick in and it turns around. And you jump in that one, and the party defeats that one also. And it's like you're not a great Dracolich. You're just like getting started. So you've got like Froghemoth in the back. You got like you turn around like I guess I gotta jump into Froghemoth. Gotta get it done as Froghemoth and then figure it out from there, or it's all over, man.
I like where your head's at, but a Froghemoth isn't a reptile.
I know. Well, kind of new. Like it's
it's not kind of. It's just not a reptile.
Yeah. Well,
but it could be something along those lines.
Hand wave it for my joke.
Sure, hand wave it for your joke. I gotta do it as Froghemoth.
Just gotta get it done as Froghemoth, man.
Honestly, if I was at an adventuring party and I defeated Dracolich and then a Froghemoth just jumps out of nowhere to attack us, I'd be horrified.
It's the skeleton of like a Froghemoth, right?
Well, it could be. That's even scarier.
Or it's just like the rotting dead body of Froghemoth,
if you saw
right?
a skeleton of a Froghemoth, you wouldn't know what it was. You'd be like, what the fuck is that? So yes,
fair enough.
A Dracolich could do that.
You got me there.
Anyways, if a Dracolich's phylactery is destroyed or taken to a different plane of existence and then its body is destroyed, it will permanently die because it'll be unable to, its soul won't be able to go back to its phylactery.
It'll fizzle out because it can't reach.
And then it'll be forced to pass to the outer planes.
Damn.
And with that being said, let's take a short rest.
Yeah. Hey everybody, welcome to the part of the episode where we're not talking about the bones of Froghemoth anymore, even though I wish we were. What we are talking about is how much we love you for listening to the show. So thanks for tuning in, everybody. Will's got something to tell you. It's basically going to reflect exactly what I just said to you right now, but from Will's perspective. Go ahead, Will.
Ditto.
Fucking cop out.
Yes, I love the audience too. Thank you guys so much.
The Froghemoth will come for you, William.
Apparently.
The bones of it anyway.
Oh no.
You won't recognize it. Sorry, we're not talking about that thing. We're talking about this thing, our love. I did that part. Let's talk about our contest. Go ahead.
We currently have an ongoing contest where we are giving away the upcoming book, Eberron, Rising from the Last War, and it's going to be the 5th edition premier Eberron book, coming out, I believe, November 19th. Yeah. And if you want to win a copy, all you have to do is share our live play D&D podcast, Super Quest Saga. It's on YouTube. It's on pretty much any podcast app you can find. It's on Spotify. Just share a link to the show with the hashtag SuperQuest on Twitter, and you'll be entered to win. Yeah,
there's a second way to enter on Instagram. Go to the Dungeoncast Instagram, and you'll see a post. It's probably got a dinosaur, a robot man, and a dude with a boomerang on it. And speaking of, what do we know about the new Eberron book coming out and why you should want it? Well, it's going to be a big lore drop, a big authoritative, officially published thing about Eberron, and there's going to be dinosaurs, robots, and dudes with boomerangs. And that's what we know.
That's all you need to know.
Yeah, pretty much. I'm sold. I think there's trains also. Magic trains.
It's Eberron.
I'm pretty sure that's on the cover of something. Anyway, we have a merch store.
We do.
It has a whole bunch of custom artwork that we either commissioned or did ourselves. And
it does.
And you can slap that shit on shirts and cups and stuff.
Mugs,
so we did.
Shirts. I think that's actually, I think it's just mugs and
shirts. It's
mugs
mugs and shirts. Get at them, dude.
Shirts for days.
We play D&D, damn it. Like, what else do we need but a place to put our coffee and something to cover our nipples?
So yeah, if you're interested in any Dungeoncast merch, please check out the link below. Yeah, it really helps.
Yeah, free the nipple.
Free the nipple. Let's get back to the show.
Okay. We've returned.
Indeed, we have. And I believe we're talking about Dracoliches. So let us continue.
Let me check the record.
Go ahead.
Yep, it was Dracoliches.
All right, let's do it. So, for a dragon to decide to willingly become a Dracolich, it's kind of a big deal.
Well, it sounds like you don't typically, right? But you could? Because, is this something that, people are just doing?
So, the Cult of the Dragon transforms dragons that are both willing and unwilling.
Okay.
If it can. That's a difficult thing to pull off, but it has been done. Mm-hmm. But for the most part, I would say a dragon going Dracolich is a decision.
Okay.
But, and it's a big one. It's a big deal because to say that among dragons, the concept of becoming a Dracolich is taboo is a severe understatement. By becoming a Dracolich, dragon severs its ties to all things draconic. Dracoliches are not dragons. They are undead. This is even represented in the 5e Monster Manual by swapping of the creature's type from dragon to undead.
Oh, so did we fuck up by doing this in the Year of the Dragon?
No, not at all.
Nope.
It's dragon adjacent. And this is Spooktober.
Spooked. Yeah.
So where was I? Oh, yeah. So to most dragons, the very concept of rejecting their draconic nature is utterly repulsive and heinous. Dragon's infamous pride is almost always based primarily upon the fact that they are a dragon. Tiamat herself is revolted by Dracoliches and disowns any of her children who choose this path. There is no place. There's no place in the afterlife for Dracoliches.
So yeah, because you've dedicated yourself to the material world pretty much.
You've dedicated yourself to yourself at this point.
Yeah, but you're forced to exist with the mortal coil, right?
Yeah, which I guess is what you wanted because you just basically never wanted to die.
Yeah.
Apparently. So because of this, only the most absolutely narcissistic and deranged of dragonkind choose to walk this path willingly.
Really, it wouldn't be like more like hell-bent on unfinished business sort of thing?
Yeah, sure. But my point is like
you got to be loose upstairs to have to do that.
They are so narcissistic that even their extremely long lives are not enough for them. They still cannot bear the concept of their own mortality.
I look so good, even dead.
Even when dragons of all creatures have like one of the most secure places in the afterlife, good or evil. I mean, yeah. I guess the evil kind of sucks because you got to deal with Tiamat, but she's got a place for you.
You're into it though because you're a dragon. Probably.
Some chromatics are more into it than others. A lot of chromatics don't really like Tiamat, but she's their queen.
They're too much alike.
Right, too much alike to ever get along. But where was I?
Even in death.
So I mean, they're so obsessed with this concept that they're willing to go to any lengths, including forsaking their kin and their gods, to avoid death. So some say that by necessity, all Dracoliches must be insane, otherwise they would not be. So Dracoliches share much of the same psychology of their living evil draconic counterparts. Things like extreme levels of pride, narcissism, and arrogance, greed for both power and wealth, and delight in both destruction and domination of others.
Okay.
What trait Dracoliches tend to have that gets turned up to 11, though, is this fiendish level of intelligence, scheming, and plotting.
Okay.
So Dracoliches don't just want to be immortal just because. They usually turn to undeath to give themselves the time necessary to craft and execute complex webs of calculated and nefarious design.
Yeah, that tracks. They need something to. Those fools need something to do, and they haven't gotten it done in their long lifespan, and they're going to keep going for it. And this is like a good out for that. Okay.
So, political upheaval, gathering of powerful servants in an army, the assassination of powerful rivals, and the conquering of nations, worlds, and planes are the business of a Dracolich.
Okay.
Always acting from the shadows and always 10 steps ahead of their potential adversaries and challengers. Much like a beholder, attempting to outthink or strategize against such a cunning and maniacal foe is likely an exercise in futility.
Okay.
So these are really big campaign enders. Like, these are dragons that are so dedicated to, like,
your undoing, probably.
Yeah, your undoing, but also just so dedicated to whatever their grand design is.
Yeah.
They're willing to go to this extreme length of undeath to make it happen. So, like, they're just probably way more ambitious and motivated when it comes to their, like, conquering or whatever.
Yeah, they're sacrificing all their core beliefs and abilities to become this monstrosity. Right. And this creature's trying to have like some sort of like major social outreach, it sounds like.
Yeah, probably. Most definitely. So a Dracoliches likely have both plentiful allies and enemies. They can pretty much count on all draconic beings, both good and evil, as their mortal foes. They also fear and revile each other. All Dracoliches see other Dracoliches as direct competition and potential usurpers of their power and wealth. They avoid each other completely unless looking to destroy their counterpart.
Okay.
I mean, that's pretty. Honestly, that's not a big difference from just normal evil dragons. Normal evil dragons don't fucking like each other either.
Man, how have I never drawn a Transformers parallel to dragons before? It's like Autobots and Decepticons up in this bitch, and this is like Megatron.
It's like it's a dichotomy of good and evil, is what it is. It's a basic dichotomy of good and evil. Like,
yeah, but they're literally like polymorphing all over the place and like doing all kinds of shit. Like,
sure,
like in Transformers,
there's a lot of that.
There's probably explosions, like a lot of Michael Bay style explosions whenever you have a dragon fight.
Sure, exactly.
Yeah,
but the big difference here is like Decepticons do work together all the time, even though they don't like it. evil dragons do not work together.
Well, this is like you bring Megatron back to life, and then all of a sudden,
I guess if you bring Tiamat into the picture, suddenly everyone's working together.
Your cult leader is Starscream, and
does that make Bahamut Optimus Prime?
Yeah, I would think so, or like whatever gold dragon is in charge.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, there are a lot of parallels for sure, but again, the reason is because it's your real basic good and evil, like the idea that like those who are good work together and are orderly, those who are evil are chaotic and like they undermine each other. Yeah,
but a Dracolich isn't working with dragons, right? Like at this point?
No. Yeah, let's get back to Dracoliches. And yeah, they're not. They're super not. So among Dracolich's allies, mostly are undead. Undead are probably the biggest ones that can be included. So liches, vampires, death knights, wights, etc., all can be found in the service of a Dracolich, or at least an alliance if it's more like on equal terms.
Okay.
Cultists are another group of allies, along with the usual draconic minions of kobolds. Dracoliches may find patrons among the many gods of undeath, such as Vecna, Nerul, or Null, or even the demon lord Orcus. Other evil creatures, such as hags, demons, orcs, and goblins, can easily be brought under their sway.
Okay.
So some of that is just because they're just really powerful, evil, and smart. Dragons can team up with hags, demons, orcs, and goblins as well. But
that's kind of reminding me of the like a demon lord will have like a posse. A really cool posse of
a lot of these
dudes.
Big bads, like they got an entourage of other bad dudes.
Yeah.
I mean, because
true.
Yeah, that's
why not?
That's how you maintain power, by having those who are in power on your side.
True.
So, any questions about Dracoliches before we start getting into the stats, if you will?
We kind of had so you were mentioning like the cultists. If cultists bring you to life, you're not like immediately waking up and trying to kill those motherfuckers. You're just trying to
probably not.
Now you're friends.
It was probably a deal that was like, the deal was like, hey, I want to be a Dracolich. I need you 6 people to help me, and they said yes. And it's like in exchange, you probably.
Now they're like the emissaries of this Dracolich, probably, or something like that.
Maybe it's a servitude thing, or maybe it's just like an alliance deal where it's like this cult and me have a working relationship.
Yeah, you guys figure out my yearly soul thing, and
no, the dragons don't have a yearly soul thing, but like.
Oh no, I thought you said once a year they had to.
No, that's regular.
That's the regular
liches.
lich.
Yeah.
This is different. Okay,
exactly.
Yeah.
But still, it could be along the lines of like they did this great favor for me, so periodically, if they ask me of some sort of favor, I'm likely to give it to them, and vice versa. So
yes,
something along those lines.
Initially, the signing bonus is like, here's some bones. You guys like bones, right? That seems to be your thing.
Okay. So yeah, let's get into the stats. Mm-hmm. So, unlike, I think this is the first monster without like a stat block that we've ever talked about. So
I know it.
This is
what this is.
This is what's called a template. So essentially, the idea of a Dracolich is a template that you can put on top of a normal dragon stats to turn it into a Dracolich. So,
and this kind of makes the Dracolich have a little more flavor with the lore behind it, like what kind of dragon it was.
Yes, absolutely. So there's pros and cons to the template. I think the template's a good idea, but I also think that like a lot of the templates are kind of weak sauce. So
weak sauce, you say?
Weak sauce, I say.
Let's get into it.
So, if, for example, you're trying to make an ancient blue dragon, gone Dracolich, you would take the ancient blue dragon stat block, and then you would add these features to it.
Add 1 crazy potion and 6 dudes that chant.
So the first feature is called type, and essentially this is where you just change the type from dragon to undead. The Dracolich no longer requires air, food, or drink, or sleep.
Dope.
Next feature is damage resistance. The Dracolich has resistance to necrotic damage.
Makes sense.
Then damage immunities. Dracolich has immunity to poison. It also retains any immunities that it had prior to becoming a Dracolich. Condition immunities. Dracolich can't be charmed, frightened, paralyzed, or poisoned. It also doesn't suffer from exhaustion. And lastly, magic resistance. The Dracolich has advantage on saving throws against spells and other magical effects.
Cool.
And that's the template.
Oh.
Nothing else.
Oh.
Nothing cool.
Well, I mean, like, you could just keep your legendary resistances from, or like lair actions from whatever was the dragon before.
Absolutely. But my point is, like,
nothing extra special here, huh?
No, nothing extra special. Like, I don't know. Like, the idea is that like Dracoliches keep whatever type of breath they had before, which I'm fine with. But I guess what I would do here personally is, since you have the option to give dragons like spellcasting, I would just make my Dracolich a spellcaster, because it should be, and give it a bunch of necrotic stuff.
Totally.
Yeah,
I would
all necromancy.
I would reflavor. I would homebrew the hell out of this, honestly.
Oh, yeah,
like,
me too.
Why not?
Yeah, why not?
We have the template for how dragons are supposed to like mechanically impose themselves upon, a battle. So why don't we just give them, like, why doesn't it have a necrotic breath weapon, et cetera, et cetera?
I think I voiced my my criticism on the dragon stat block for 5th edition many times already.
Over and over again,
it's already super mundane and like super standardized. And then you took the Dracolich and you standardized it too.
Yeah, I mean, like they thought I obviously think they have a working formula with the
it
basics.
Works. It's fine. I mean, it's just like there's nothing that like I can't deal with.
They treat it like a dragon is a dragon. There's a couple of tweaks here and there between different types, and that's more or less true. But like you could get a lot more unique as you play the game of Dungeons and Dragons. You're gonna want to explore new territory and try new things.
So the biggest problem I have with this though is that the Dracolich doesn't get any layer actions or regional effects. It says that you as the dungeon master have the choice to do what you want with it, and so like I guess it could keep its old ones, but honestly I don't like the idea of Dracolich keeping its old layer actions and old regional effects, because the idea here is that it's no longer a dragon. So
you cast all that out.
Yeah, you cast all that out. So all those things that were like inherent to it because of its draconic magic like should be gone. And so I think the Dracolich should get its own Dracolich layer actions and regional effects.
So not gone, but repurposed to match it.
Yeah, repurposed. Like I think the Dracolich should get its own layer actions and regional effects.
Yeah,
period.
totally.
End of story. So
why don't we just take from the Skull Lord, where you can like raise undead and do stuff like that, or command certain like legions or hordes of undead creatures?
Well, the Skull Lord doesn't get layer actions, but.
No, I know that, but it can like summon those. It can summon like 5 dudes or whatever we were just talking about.
And that's pretty much what I was going to say is like what I would do, and I printed these out, is I would take the layer actions from the Lich and just use those. Yeah, I would take the regional effects from the Vampire and just use those. And here, let me read them off, and you can tell me if you think that these are...
Well, that's not bad. I remember the Vampire ones. They're really spooky.
Yeah, I think they're both very fitting. You tell me what you think. So... just imagine that this is the layer actions for Dracolich. So everything happens on an initiative count of 20. The Dracolich rolls one of the actions it could choose. The Dracolich rolls a d8 and regains a spell slot of that level or lower.
Ooh.
If it has no spell slots of that level or lower, nothing happens. Second action. The Dracolich targets one creature it can see within 30 feet of it. A crackling cord of negative energy tethers the Dracolich to the target. Whenever the Dracolich takes damage, the target must make a DC 18 Constitution saving throw. On a failed save, the Dracolich takes half the damage, rounded down, and the target takes the remaining damage.
Ooh.
This tether lasts until initiative count 20 on the next turn.
That's like that cleric spell, the like ring of whatever.
Yeah, sure. I don't know what spell you're talking about, but
It's
sure.
okay.
And then the last action is the Dracolich calls forth the spirits of creatures that died in its lair. These apparitions materialize and attack one creature that the Dracolich can see within 60 feet of it. The target must succeed on a DC 18 Constitution saving throw, taking 15 d6 necrotic damage on a failed save or half as much on a success. The apparitions then disappear.
That's fucking sick.
Yeah, it'd be really cool. And here's the thing,
There's going to be a whole bunch of high, powerful shit that died in there.
Yeah, absolutely. But also, like, if you don't go with the DM discretion of like giving the Dracolich the old layer and regional actions, you effectively lower this monster's CR drastically. And the idea of becoming a Dracolich is to become more powerful. So, that part irks me too. Is like, why wouldn't you give these guys their own like undead layer actions like they should have? They shouldn't have dragon layer actions. They should have undead ones. So that was the layer actions. Here are the vampire regional effects, and I think they're very fitting for the Dracolich. So I'm going to talk about it as if they are, what's the word I'm looking at? Canon.
Yeah, totally.
So the region surrounding a Dracolich's lair is warped by the creature's unnatural presence, creating any of the following effects. Number 1, there's a notable increase in the populations of bats, rats, and wolves in the region. 2, plants within 500 feet of the lair wither and their stems and branches become twisted and thorny.
That's the opposite of thick.
Yeah, indeed.
Fucking thinnest.
Indeed. 3, shadows cast 500 feet from the lair seem abnormally gaunt and sometimes move as though they are alive. And 4, a creeping fog clings to the ground within 500 feet of the Dracolich's lair. The fog occasionally takes eerie forms such as grasping claws and writhing serpents.
That's fun.
So I think both those are incredibly fitting. It gives you this really scary, undead monstrosity with a dope layer effect, dope regional effects. and a pretty powerful stat block.
Yeah, you could always take like your like regional effect of the red dragon or whatever, and make it like put an undead spin on a regional effect that a red dragon would have.
Yeah, you could do that too. You could take all the dragon layer and regional effects and then just kind of tweak them to be undead-like.
If you want more of that original dragon feel, like to keep it. But I really like what you did. I think that's a very, very like solid take on it.
Yeah, this is definitely how I would do it. But this is just me personally.
Yeah, I would probably throw in something extra. I like the idea that they should be more powerful. That's the reason this Dracolich thing is happening. Mm-hmm. I realize that like you traded your mortal clock for the infinite sign, so like that's more powerful
in a way.
Yeah. But you trade in like. Now you're like undead are weak to specific things like radiant and like cleric-y stuff.
Right.
So that's like your trade-off. So more powerful is a perspective on that. So I like caking on a little extra ability there. Right. So that's probably how I would do it. Just add like something from the red dragon lair or whatever.
Absolutely. So any questions about Dracolich?
I think I got them all answered.
All right, cool. Well, then let's get ready for a long
wait. I do have one. Okay. I do have one. Like, what's the house again? Did we talk about like what the lair is exactly?
No, because again, they don't have lair actions or regional effects, so it didn't give me any of that information. I guess it's going with, well, the Dracolich is just going to use the lair that it's always had during life.
Okay, so it could be a volcano. It could be the red dragon.
It could be a
thing.
volcano.
It could be a desert. It could be like the coastal ocean.
And that's a good question. Like if a red dragon goes Dracolich and it's no longer a red dragon, does it still prefer the places it did in life?
Sure, it just decorates for fireproof Halloween and like you're good.
I mean, maybe, but maybe not, because remember, a lot of those tendencies were because of their biology.
Yeah, no, I would definitely come up with, that was a joke, I would come up with a new lair for sure. Like,
I think so.
Where did these cultists raise this Dracolich? That's probably the new lair, honestly.
Yeah, maybe.
It's probably like a fucking,
could be.
Like an old beholder cave or something like that.
Yeah.
That'd be dope.
Yeah, absolutely.
We killed the beholder, and now we're making a Dracolich. And we accidentally made the beholder lich. What was that called?
Well, there's the death tyrant, but that's not that. It's not exactly a beholder lich, but it's kind of like that.
Yeah,
gotta get its own episode. Maybe next Spooktober.
Maybe next Spookaline.
Anyways, let's get ready for a long rest. So before we go, I would like to ask our audience to please go check out Super Quest Saga, the 5e live play D&D game that we here at the Dungeoncast play. It's on YouTube, it's on Spotify, it's on any podcast app you can find. You can find the link in the description. And if you like what we do here, you'll probably like what we do there. And it's a really fun sci-fi space adventure Dungeons & Dragons campaign.
Everything Will said is true. Do all that stuff. If you could leave us iTunes reviews and stuff too, that's really cool. It always helps. We have an overwhelmingly positive like iTunes review experience. So
we do.
It's very fun.
Thank you guys
for us. It makes me smile. So thanks a lot. we love that you guys appreciate the show enough to do that. The best way you can support the show is to tell somebody about it. If you're looking to get into contact with us, you can reach out to us on social media. Will's at the Dungeoncast on Twitter, and I'm the Dungeoncast on Instagram. You can also reach out to us at thedungeoncast@gmail.com. It's a great place. We love getting emails there and hearing your guys' ideas for the show or like a cool campaign story you guys have. We also take advertising inquiry and things like that. So yeah, if you want to reach out to us, you can do so there, or you can jump into our Discord. We're in there all the time. Thanks to everybody that's working so hard in there.
Indeed, thank you guys so much.
A lot of
I love
incoming
the Discord,
people.
Man.
It's a great community. Yeah. It's a lot of fun. If you have questions about Super Quest Saga, you can ask us in there. We're happy to answer. Yeah, there's nothing else I have.
All right. With that being said, let's call it a game.
Bay.
We'll talk to you guys later.
Goodbye.
The Dungeoncast.